Welcome back to America's Retirement Headquarters, the home of the Retirement Guys Formula and America's Medicare Associates with Nolan Baker and Scott Kerschner. 419-794-3030 is the phone number. That's 419-794-3030. Also available online day and night. Always available, arhq.com. It is no secret that we are an emotional species. Life is full of them after all. And we've spoken before about how they can interfere when it comes to retirement planning. Here's some science to back it up. A study by a Nobel Prize-winning psychologist showed we make financial decisions based 90% on emotion and only 10% logic. So do you find this is true with clients and prospective clients? How do you handle it when that emotion comes into play?
You know, when you look at the effects of emotional investing, it can be devastating. There's been so many studies that have been done that show that the average rate of return of the investor is significantly underperform all the market indexes because they allow them to make those emotional decisions. In fact, I was blessed enough recently where I got to travel out to Yale, and I had the opportunity to interview two of the professors there, Roger Ibbotson and William Getzman. And they, William has spent his career studying the impact of the emotional investing and how that has impacted people. But, when we think about it, you think about things like impulsive decision makings, like the hot idea or the fear factor. You really need to do your thorough research and consider the long-term impact. Cryptocurrency is a perfect example. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying whether you should or shouldn't have cryptocurrency, but because of the fact that the prices are back up significantly, it has become another hot topic that people like to talk about. The other thing is we have this absolute explosion of anybody can be on TV or radio or on the internet, right? So with things like TikTok, there's everybody that's willing to give you advice on here's the next hot idea and or a video that's invoking fear, talking about the global collapse of the economy or something like that. So doing the thorough research, here's what I would tell you to do. First of all, skip to the very end, right? At the very end, you have to see what are they selling, right? So somebody who's talking about the collapse of the market and the economy and wants you to put money in gold and silver, and oh, by the way, they sell gold and silver, it would make perfect sense. That's what they would recommend. The hot idea, you have to be careful. It's that fear of missing out. Again, when it comes to investing, the goal is to buy low and sell high. You don't buy high and hope that it keeps going higher. That impulsive decision can be very tough. In fact, when we look at emotional investing, I'm going to say I'm absolutely biased here. This is why you need a financial coach. This is why you need somebody like me and our team kind of helping you try to remove the emotions of investing and making more of a decision based upon following a disciplined investment approach. Because the next thing is we see overreaction to market fluctuations. So selling after the market goes down or getting greedy in bull markets is a disaster to do. Again, we have an environment where the market crashes and people will take and they'll shift their money into a new category. And they'll move it from maybe their equities because they're losing money. They'll move it over to fixed income or cash. And what they'll do is they'll completely miss out on the recovery. And then when things appear better, that's when they're going to buy in. If you go back again, the basics of investing, buy low, sell high is, on the nightly news when they're talking about what a disaster the economy and the market is, that's the time that you really want to, go in. So you want to have predetermined entry points of when to get in and out of the market. That's going to help you avoid overreacting to market fluctuations. Market timing, I think Chaz points this out as well. There's some strategies that are out there that will either have you invested in the market or they'll go completely to cash. And when you have all of your money in that strategy, the difficult part about that is you have to figure out when to get out and then when to get back in. Now, I'm not saying market timing isn't a good idea for part of the portfolio. In fact, we use circuit breakers and we use some strategies that are designed to try to help limit losses when economic conditions come down. What I would refer to it more like is using a gas pedal. So instead of being all in or all out, based upon the market conditions, when market conditions look good, you push the gas pedal down, increasing equity exposure. But when market conditions look bad, then you kind of are using that to reduce markets. Loss aversion is another impact of emotional investing. That could be like selling winners too soon or holding losers too long. I can tell you, I have personally done this. There's been some great stocks that I made some money on, and I said, enough's enough. I sold off, and those stocks, years later, are continuing to be good. So selling your winners too soon, or again holding on to losers, in hopes that they just come back in price, can be very difficult. Or you can get in a scenario of confirmation bias, and that's ultimately seeking information that confirms an existing belief while ignoring the contrary data. And with the internet today and how phones listen to you, how your computer tracks you, that confirmation bias becomes much more in your face today, because as soon as you search something on the internet, it's going to follow you around, and that is going to be in your face. Next, you can have an over concentration. Good, and this can be bad, but what it does is increase the risk if there's large occur in each investment. So 2000 crash, when you thought you were diversified because you had a lot of different mutual funds, but if they all own technology, when the technology bubble burst happened in the 2000, it had a big impact when all of your investments go down. Chasing performance. Last year's winners are not normally next year's winners. So you have to realize, as you pointed out in the beginning, according to the Nobel Prize winning strategy and research, decision making on finances is 90% emotion and 10% logic. Don't let the effects of emotional investing cost you thousands of dollars or peace of mind when it comes to retirement time. Again, this is an area where maybe having a financial coach and being able to pick up the phone and say, what do you think about this video? Sure. Or here's what I'm thinking. Then we can logically work our way through deciding if that makes sense to make that decision, and helping give you peace of mind to make the investment decision.
I know a lot of times, Nolan, when the market was, during COVID, when everything was, taking a dive, you guys seemed like you were kind of like a therapist, right? I mean, you were talking people off the ledge, so to speak, and it's like that knee-jerk reaction. It's like, oh my gosh, I've got to get out. I've got to get out. I got to get out. All of these things that you went through, unless you're in your business, to me, it just is like overwhelming. How do I try to navigate and plan this on my own if this isn't what I do for a living, right? You stay in your lane, I stay in my lane. I do Medicare and health benefits and things like that, and I refer this stuff over to you guys. But this is very, very difficult. We are emotional by nature. I mean, people buy on emotion. How many times have you went out and you saw that item that you loved and you just bought it, right? I remember back many, many years ago, I had a client that actually bought a life insurance policy, and it was because of an emotion that caused him to do it. Now, this was a good story in a way. It was a local guy here in Toledo. His brother was actually a tree trimmer. He fell out of the tree and actually, died as a result of his injuries. And he had like 6 children, and he had no life insurance. And his brother comes into me and he says, I want to buy a $1 million life insurance policy. Where do I sign? Obviously with us doing this, I started doing some investigating, but he was buying on emotion because he had a traumatic experience happen in his life. And it's the same thing with these investments. You have a traumatic experience, you lose, maybe you were investing back in 2008 and you lost everything, and now it comes full circle in COVID time. You don't want to go through that again, so you pull back when you should be pushing all in, like you said. So that's why you guys do such a great job.
We say so often here, we talk about controlling what you can control, but there's also the illusion of control, in COVID times, things like that. When the markets are down, you hear the talking heads, you feel like I've got to do something. I've got to take action, and that is normally the worst thing that you can do. But if you have a plan in place, a tactical plan in place that accounts for this, there's going to be market fluctuation. There's going to be interest rate increases and tax increases, things like that. But I have a plan in place. It can help reduce that those emotions coming into play and letting you know that you are in fact taking control. Best way to start, picking up the phone and giving a call right now, 419-794-3030. Sit down and speak with the team at America's Retirement Headquarters. Or perhaps you want to continue the education, go to arhq.com, the events tab there. Find out more about the upcoming Economic Summit, the semi-annual Economic Summit. Figure out how to go and reserve your seat. Again, that is at the events page at arhq.com.